final leg of the Triple Crown coming up this Saturday, the Belmont Stakes. And Dave Aragona is back with us from the Daily Racing Forum. They'll be with us all week long here on Coast to Coast as we get ready for the final leg. Dave, good to see you as always, my man. And it's a little bit different this year, the final leg of the Triple Crown. Of course, we're used to Belmont Park in Elmont, New York, a place I, of course, grew up 15 minutes from, been to 1,000 times in my life. And not having the Belmont Stakes there this year is going to be very bizarre, but it will be up in Saratoga. How about that change, Dave, off the start?
Yeah, it's a real change for the race. I know people have some mixed feelings about breaking with tradition in any sport, especially in horse racing, which is so steeped in tradition. But it's going to be a different experience this year, heading up to Saratoga a month earlier than usual. Typically, their summer meet begins in July. We get a little preview of that with this Belmont Stakes Racing Festival taking place there this week. 4 days of racing in Saratoga. I think we've all got our fingers crossed that the weather forecast changed a little bit because there's some rain predicted, and that's not the best place to get a lot of rain for a big weekend of racing like this, but hopefully it all goes off without a hitch. And I think the big change to the actual race is it's going to be run at a different distance this year. 1.25 miles will be the distance of the Belmont Stakes, the same distance as the Kentucky Derby. Typically, this race is a real test of stamina, going 1.5 miles at Belmont Park. Not the case this year.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that, Dave, to give kind of the viewers that difference, and thank you for doing that, because everyone's always known the Belmont Stakes, like you said, stamina, the distance that race has in it, in that massive track. So that's good to know as well, that it's going to be the same distance as the Derby. In terms of people going to it, I've been to a couple of Belmont Stakes in my life, especially in weeks where you've had like a Triple Crown. You fit 100,000 plus into that place. What is it going to be like at Saratoga? What's the difference in terms of the amount of people that are going to be able to be there on Saturday?
So Saratoga, during their summer meet, typically hosts their marquee weekend in late August, the Travers Stakes. That usually features a near-capacity crowd. I imagine it's going to be similar to that, and then some, because this is such an event. It's the first time the Belmont Stakes is ever being run at Saratoga. I mean, tickets have been sold out for quite a long time heading into this weekend. So I think it's going to be a packed racetrack. It's probably going to feel a lot more crowded if it's raining out and people are trying to get inside the building, because if you're familiar with the layout of Saratoga, there's a lot of outdoor picnic areas, it's a sprawling outdoor area, green area for people to spread out. That could be an issue if it rains. We'll see how that all goes. Hopefully the weather cooperates for Saturday, but it is going to be a really fun event holding it in a place like Saratoga where racing is so beloved.
Now, Dave, you are also the morning line odds maker at Saratoga, which means you have a lot to do with what's going to be going on here on Saturday. Please tell me who I guess I could say you've got as the morning line favorite here for the Belmont Stakes on Saturday.
Yeah, so this is kind of the biggest race I get to make the morning line for, being the New York Racing Association line maker all year long. And the Belmont Stakes morning line favorite is going to be the number 9, Sierra Leone. He was one of the favorites heading into the Kentucky Derby, actually went off as the second choice in that race and was the narrow loser. He finished a nose behind the Kentucky Derby winner, Mystic Dan, who was also back in this race. I think there's a feeling among a lot of racing fans that Sierra Leone maybe was the best horse in the Kentucky Derby. He's a deep closer. He had a lot of horses to pass in that 20-horse field coming from as far back as he was. Got into a bit of a bumping match with a rival of the stretch, and those two sort of occupied themselves with each other and lets Mystic Dan sneak up the rail to beat both of them. Sierra Leone, though, has had some time off since the Kentucky Derby. He skipped the second leg of the Triple Crown, the Preakness Stakes, so he's coming in as a fresh horse, and I think a lot of people believe that could give him the advantage. So I made him the 9-5 morning line favorite, but it's going to be a fairly competitive race.
And Mystic Dan will be back here. Of course, the only horse that is going to run in all 3 legs of the Triple Crown this year. You also are going to have the Preakness winner, Seize the Gray. Where do you have those two here early in the week?
So I got Mystic Dan at 5-1. He's the third choice on my early line. Sees the Gray 8-1 being the fourth choice. I think the concern with Mystic Dan is just that flurry of activity, 3 races in 5 weeks. That's asking a lot. As you said, the only horse that's running in all 3 legs of the Triple Crown. So there might be some expectation that he's not going to be able to produce another peak effort like he did in the Kentucky Derby. And Sees the Gray, he's the now horse coming in off that Preakness victory. We'll see if he can run back to it.